Welcome, Mr. North and South American. All ships at sea, let's go to press.
Here we go.
Here now from the Crystal Cruises mobile studio with all of today's cruise and travel news and a bit of commentary. It's the guru of the seas himself, Tom Drake.
It is indeed himself, and he's back at it on a Monday morning for the third time. And welcome to day one of our social media experiment. People in the know tell me, and not just AI, people in the know tell me if I want to get exposure legally, I need to be on social media. So this is being recorded through Zoom, and eventually later this morning, you'll find this on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, I don't know, Swatch, all kinds of places. In the meantime, though, it's being recorded the old-fashioned way, audio, and at 8 a.m. You'll be able to get it on every podcast platform that's out there. I appreciate all the support. I am the podcaster. You're the podcastees, and that is the Drake the Duck, and that is me reaching down, touching things. I touch myself in the morning. For those people that care about how things work, can you even see this? That is the world famous, you can't see it, Rode. That's the board that operates everything. Over here is something that they call Stream Deck. And Stream Deck, I have two of these, and they are buttons that allow me to just put things up quickly without even thinking about it, like tradition, things that probably will get me bounced off Facebook because they're very, very, very much into what's copyrighted and not copyrighted. In the podcast world, not so much. In any case, welcome to the podcast. My name is Tom Drake. If you're here for the first time finding me on social media, this is called the Daily Cruise and Travel News Podcast because each day, Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, I get up in the morning and now I have to get up and get dressed. In the past, I get up, stumble into a room, and I spend about 35 minutes telling everyone what is going on in the cruise and travel, car rental, hotel, hospitality. Actually, I don't do it. I have a team of people. As an example, I have Brooks. Brooks is all about crime and crime prevention. And here's what Brooks has to offer today.
Good morning, Guru. Happy first day joining the millions hoping to make $6 with their YouTube channel. Here is another head on a swivel and not on a stick story. If you're thinking about taking a solo trip, a new report suggests you should pay close attention to where you're headed.
Yep.
Travel insurance company Squaremouth has ranked Venezuela as the world's riskiest destination for solo travelers, giving it a safety risk score of 9.74 out of 10. The report cites high crime, limited healthcare, weak infrastructure, and the fact that fewer than 10% of residents say they feel safe walking alone at night. The U.S. State Department also advises Americans to reconsider travel to Venezuela, with some regions carrying a do not travel warning. Rounding out the top 5 are Peru, Gabon, Colombia, and Bolivia, followed by Jamaica, Guyana, Ecuador, Trinidad and Tobago, and South Africa. If you're traveling alone, or even with a group, the State Department recommends enrolling in its free STEP program. It provides security updates, emergency alerts, and can help U.S. officials contact you if a crisis develops. Traveling solo can be an unforgettable experience, but choosing the right destination is just as important as packing your suitcase.
So that's Brooks, and Brooks covers crime and crime prevention and head on the swivel stories. And, we've had over the years, well, it's been over 1,000 podcasts. We've had brawls on Carnival, fights in Nassau, all kinds of crazy stuff. This is about being smart. And one of the things I enjoy doing is reading these press releases and these stories and look at some of the names. This is a travel insurance company. Now, we're in the travel business with Best at Sea Tours, and we use Allianz and we use Travel Guard. I've never heard of a Squaremouth. The name just doesn't instill a lot of Squaremouth. I guess Squaremouth means you don't talk out of both sides of your mouth. It's square, so they can't. I don't know who came up with the idea. And this story and the fact that they're ranking Venezuela, do we need anybody to tell us that Venezuela is not safe? Do you need anybody? Now, I'm surprised at Colombia. I've been in and out of Colombia over the last 30 years, probably 40 times. And I don't remember, flown in and out probably 20. I don't remember. I never had a problem. Now, I will tell you, 25, 30 years ago, when I flew in there for Princess, by the way, if you're not familiar with me, I'm a headline comedian for the last 30 plus years in the cruise industry and have worked for every major cruise line. And that is why I'm the guru of the seas. What I do is I'm going to tell you the truth as opposed, never mind, I'm in the travel business now. Shut up, you moron. I would fly into Cartagena and I would be picked up by two guys in a van and they put me in the back seat. They were in the front and they would tell me when we go to the hotel, just get out and go in and stay in there for the night. It was okay during the day, but not so good at night. And that's true of St. Thomas. That's most islands. You have to be careful, really. But be careful. But if anybody is telling me they're on their way to Venezuela, they don't need my advice. They need a lobotomy. They need to, unless you have family there, you were born in Venezuela, it's not very safe. Now, I've said this almost every day lately. The State Department, they have one job to do. They have to cover their ass, well, two jobs, and justify their existence. So they put out these things that make you nervous. Well, I don't have any plans to go to Bolivia. I once had shares at a gold mine there, and sorry I did. Jamaica, we're well aware of Jamaica. They're in the middle of a inner battle there because the tourism minister said it's fabulous, and the prime minister declared martial law in several parts of that island. They have a problem. Guyana, I haven't been there a long time. I remember going into Dakar, Senegal, Africa, a long, long time ago for Cunard, for the Queen Elizabeth II. I was joining the QE2 in Dakar, Senegal, Africa. I've told this story in the past on this podcast, but it was probably podcast number 7, and only about 4 people have hung in for 1,005 of these suckers. But I flew in at 1:30 in the morning. I arrived in Dakar, Senegal, Africa. And I get off the plane, I get my luggage, and guys are trying to take my luggage. Well, I'm not exaggerating. And I'm trying to find the driver. There's a driver, no driver. And my phone didn't work back then. I didn't have T-Mobile. It didn't work. So I found a guy that spoke English, gave him $20 US to call the port agent. And the port agent, I woke him up 3 a.m. And he said, the driver should be there. He can't find you. And I said, and this is not race, this is honest. I'm the only white guy within 4,000 square miles. He can't see me. All right. He found me, and they were trying to take the luggage from him. We get in the van, and he takes me to the port. Well, the ship doesn't arrive until 8 o'clock in the morning. So here I am by myself in a dark port, commercial port in Dakar, Senegal, Africa. And look, for the liberals out there going, you shouldn't paint with a big brush. It was not safe, okay? And I won't go on to the rest of the story. Getting to the hotel and there wasn't a room for me. I had to sleep on the couch. I didn't get a room, but the juggler did. That's another story for another day. There are parts of the world that are not safe, and you have to be careful. Now, I've been to Trinidad and Tobago in the last year. No issues. You get there during the day. You're on a ship. You're going into town. I wouldn't recommend getting in a cab with a driver. I wouldn't recommend this. Going outside of the port and finding a cab driver outside of the port. If they're not in the port, don't do it. And the guy said, I'm going to take you all around the island, and he's going to leave you there, and he's going to have your wallet. Smart, just be smart. Better off booking in those islands, you're better off with a ship's tour. I'm not pimping from the cruise line, but be careful. Bottom line is, I have a new program. The State Department has the program called STEP. Mine is called Run. Run for somewhere else. These are places, unless you're really, really, really desperate to fill your bucket list, I would say move on. So that's how the podcast works. I'll be later on. Reese will be covering some stories. Brooks covers crime. I don't do all the reading because I'm very, very bad at it, frankly. Also, we always open the podcast by asking everyone to say a prayer for the men and women, the boys and girls in the military. They are the forgotten ones. There are thousands and thousands of our young Americans and older Americans, the lifers. They're out there on the front lines. There's problems all over the world. And again, I have people email me all the time. Don't go to politics. We want to hear about travel. They connect. Travel and politics connect. This is a good example. There's a lot of politics in what I just talked about, but it's all part of it. But just say a prayer. I have a nephew that flies for the Air Force, and I mentioned it on Friday. He flew home the 4 soldiers that we lost. That's not easy. I mean, it's not easy. And, and we lost them. Don't go there. Just say a prayer for the men and women. boys and girls in the military. We always ask everybody to wash your hands and wash them off and say, sing happy birthday. Take 20 seconds to stop norovirus so you don't get it. Soap and water, happy birthday. Sanitizers, you can Google it, chat it. They don't work. It's virtue signaling when they tell you to do that. If you're on a ship, use the sink. If you're on a ship, use hot water and soap. Even if you did it in your room, do it before you go into the buffet. Do it for yourself. Now, you still might get it. What did I just see? There was an outbreak, I believe, I won't name the ship, I forget. And they immediately went to the crew serving you. The crew serving you so you don't touch the tongs. It doesn't really work because you're going to touch the elevators. You're touching the handrails. You're touching everything else. So the best way is to protect yourself. Hot water, soap and water, sing happy birthday. We talk about T2T.org. That's Tunnel of the Towers right now. They have a part of the Twin Towers. They're on the road with it. It's in Denver, Colorado today at the Wings Across America Space Museum. If you live in Denver and you have time, go take a look. And remember, 9/11 was only 25 years ago. We have a tendency to forget that. There were all kinds of Fauci stories over the weekend. Pandemic, we've forgotten the pandemic. We never found out where it really came from. We never found out who did it. We moved on. Americans are like that. We move on. It is what it is. So I do want to mention, if you want to reach out to my company, our company, my wife is the president of Best of Sea Tours. You can reach us at 866-723-7874. If you want to reach me about any of this, you can reach me at the Drake Podcast. Easy enough. The Drake Podcast at gmail.com. I have many email addresses, some very corporate, some very, This is the easiest. The Drake Podcast at gmail.com. Time for a quick commercial.
Hey, it's BJ here. Have you been dreaming about escaping winter?
Yeah.
On a fun-filled Caribbean cruise?
Yep.
If you're looking for 7 unforgettable days of sunshine, laughter, and great entertainment, America's Funniest Cruise is the vacation you've been waiting for. Join us February 14th through the 21st aboard Holland America's beautiful MS New Statendam for a round-trip sailing from Fort Lauderdale to St. Thomas, San Juan, Grand Turk, and Holland America's spectacular private island, Half Moon Cay. Hosted by legendary cruise director Dottie Kalasa, who is coming out of retirement after an incredible 38-year career at sea, this one-of-a-kind vacation features an all-star lineup of comedy entertainment, starring Jackie the Joke Man Martling, actor and stand-up comedian Richie Minervini, comedy magician John Ferrantino, and an attitude with a tie, stand-up comedian Tom Drake. Throughout the week, Dottie will host all of the exclusive private events, including multiple headliner comedy shows, Dottie's Liars Club, John Ferrantino's magical paranormal presentation, private cocktail parties, meet and greets, and plenty of more fun along the way. You'll also enjoy everything Holland America is famous for: world-class entertainment, exceptional dining, 10 bars and lounges, outstanding service, and unforgettable ports of call. To enjoy all of our exclusive comedy events, you must book through Best at Sea Tours. For more information, visit bestatseatours.com. Join us for America's Funniest Cruise. To enjoy all of our exclusive comedy events, you must book through Best at Sea Tours. For more information, visit bestatseatours.com. Join us for America's Funniest Cruise. 7 unforgettable days of sunshine, friendship, and non-stop laughter.
And he does say it twice for a reason. I want everybody to understand, in order to enjoy all those extra shows, you do need to book through our company, bestatseatours.com. When I say extra shows, Holland America has, like he said, 10 bars, B.B. King's Lounge, Rolling Stones Lounge, a piano bar, plus their own entertainment, world-class entertainment in the world stage. Now, it never fails. Dealing with cruise lines can be a challenge. And I just received an email, from Holland America. We wanted to use the Crow's Nest, which is all the way in the front of the ship up top. That is the best place for these shows. We expect 150 to 200 people to join us on this cruise. But they are giving us the world stage. They're giving us the 900-seat theater. So you will see some tremendous shows in a tremendous theater with a very small audience compared with the amount of seats there. But it's going to be very good. And, my wife's the best cruise director ever. It's going to be great. You can reach out to us at bestatseatours.com. And you know what? We're doing back-to-back commercials this morning. Here's Reese.
Hi, everybody. It's Reese here again doing Tom's job. It seems a recent poll showed that people would rather have me tell you about Best at Sea tours and Crystal Cruises than listen to the grumpy boss.
That's me.
So here we go. Why settle for an ordinary vacation when you can enjoy an extraordinary hosted cruise? When you travel with Best at Sea tours, you're never on your own. We handle the details, host exclusive private events, introduce you to new friends, and make every day more enjoyable from the moment you sail until you return home. And there's no better way to experience it than aboard Crystal Cruises. Consistently ranked among the world's finest luxury cruise lines, Crystal offers spacious accommodations, world-class dining, exceptional entertainment, and personalized 5-star service that makes every guest feel like family. Whether you're celebrating a special occasion or simply checking off a dream vacation, let us make it unforgettable. Join Tom and Dottie Drake on a hosted Crystal Cruise and discover why luxury is even better when it's shared with friends. Call Best at Sea Tours today at 866-723-7874 or visit bestatseatours.com. That's 866-723-7874.
Thank you, Reese. And, you know, those are apples and oranges. When I talk about Holland America, it's a fine product. It really is. It's a value-priced product. And that's the reason we chose it, because we have a lot of listeners. I have a lot of listeners that, you know, Crystal's the best. Now, it's not out of reach. Don't get, you know, you get what you pay for. As an example, the Holland America New Stottendam carries 2,600 guests. The Crystal Symphony, which is where we're hosting many of our cruises, carries 600. All right. When you sail on the Oceania Marina, the Riviera, you're sailing on a ship with 1,200, 1,300 people. The Crystal Symphony is the same size as the Marina, but it has 600 guests, not 1,200 guests. You pay for that. It's a wonderful, wonderful cruise line, and we're proud to partner with them. And we have a whole bunch. There's real salesmanship. A whole bunch of cruises on our website, bestatseatours.com, including New Year's Eve. Go take a look. I'm not going to beat you up all day with commercials today. Now we're going to bring Reese back. Reese does most of the heavy lifting around here.
Good morning, Guru. Happy Monday, and welcome to the world of social media video broadcasting. Watch out, Joe Rogan. Here comes the Guru. Guru, except for the overcrowding from cruise ships and the occasional volcano, this island has it all. According to Travel and Leisure, Santorini has been named Europe's top island by Trip.com, based on traveler searches, bookings, reviews, and social media buzz. And it's easy to see why. With its famous whitewashed buildings and blue-domed churches perched high above the Aegean Sea, Santorini is one of the world's most recognizable destinations. The island's dramatic cliffs and crescent-shaped caldera were created by a massive volcanic eruption more than 3,600 years ago. Visitors flock to Oya for its spectacular sunsets and postcard-perfect views, while the capital, Fira, offers great restaurants, shopping, and equally stunning scenery with fewer crowds. Wine lovers can sample Santorini's signature Assyrtiko wines at hillside wineries overlooking the caldera. For active travelers, the 6-mile hike from Fira to Oya delivers unforgettable views. Prefer the water? Catamaran cruises showcase the island's volcanic coastline, including the famous Red Beach, White Beach, and the black sand shores of Parissa. Add luxury cliffside hotels, outstanding food, and unforgettable sunsets, and it's no wonder Santorini continues to top so many travelers' bucket lists.
Now, that's in today's podcast because I hope to reach a whole new group of people. If you've listened to me for 1,000 podcasts, you know Santorini is truly one of the most beautiful places in the world, and certainly in the Greek Isles. Compared to Corfu or Mykonos, Mykonos is also lovely, but nothing as majestic as looking up at Santorini. The problem with Santorini, as we all know, it's too crowded, and they're trying to fix that by charging a lot of money to go there on a ship and take you around the back and make you schlep to get where you want to be. But I put it in there because it is interesting, and the article is lovely, but it doesn't mention the number one problem with Santorini, over tourism. There's just too many people there. If I was booking a cruise there, if someone wants to book a cruise there, I think I would go on, I think it's called Ship Scanner. They know a year in advance, and then more than that, what ships are coming in. I would try to get there on a day when No one else is going to be there. But it would be hard. With software now and AI, I'm sure I could figure that out. If someone said to me, I want to go to Santorini, but I don't want to go when there's 5 ships in. I only want to go when there's 2. There was never more than 2 ships. Now there's 5, and they're the mega mothers, and they're 5,000 people, and they're honestly, they're not spending a lot of money in port. They're going to go back for lunch. It's expensive. Now, when we're there, the wife and I were together on ships for 30 years. We can't wait. If we're in a port like Santorini, except I don't like the tender and I don't like the if you don't know, if you go to Santorini, there are 3 ways to get to the top of the mountain, and that's where you want to be. All right, the bottom is nothing. The top is where you want to be. Now, there's nothing up there except shops and restaurants, and you look down at ships and go, whatever, you can buy the postcard. But if you want to have a nice lunch, you have to go up there, and you can either walk 530 steps, which is crazy, or you can ride the back of a donkey, which is crazy, or you can ride a tram that's been maintained by the Greeks, which is really crazy. But many, many trips there, many lunches up top, and it's beautiful, but it's now extremely crowded. So you want to make sure, and if you go in there on a land vacation, it's not going to be as difficult. You're going to get there, get parked. The tourists are all in one area pretty much, and they're on buses riding around the island. But I put it in there for the new listeners, and thanks to the old listeners for tolerating that same old story. That's the horse story. All right, let's keep rolling.
Guru,
Yeah.
This is also from Travel and Leisure.
Okay.
And we could call this segment the Know Before You Go Moron segment. Good news for travelers. The TSA has officially ended its long-standing shoes-off policy at U.S. airport security checkpoints. Most passengers can now keep their shoes on, helping speed up lines and making the screening process a little more pleasant. But don't celebrate just yet. The wrong footwear can still trigger extra screening. According to a veteran flight attendant, the biggest offenders are steel-toe boots, shoes with large metal buckles, eyelets or zippers, high heels with metal support rods, older shoes with metal shanks, and even some orthopedic inserts that contain metal. If your shoes set off the detector, you could still be asked to remove them and walk back through the scanner. The advice? Save the combat boots, stilettos, and heavy dress shoes for your destination. Instead, wear comfortable, breathable sneakers with good arch support. You'll be doing plenty of walking through airports, and your feet will thank you. And one final tip, pack a pair of warm socks in your carry-on. Airplanes are often much colder than airports, and cozy feet can make for a much more comfortable flight.
There you go. Only on this podcast will you hear advice about cozy feet. We are the Cozy Feet podcast for the week. Now, again, so much common sense involved in this, but you know what? Travelers don't use common sense. I've been in and out of airports for years, so have you. And my biggest pet peeve is the guy wearing the cargo shorts with all the pockets. And he's got 13 pockets, and there's some metal in every pocket. And he thinks he's got rid of everything, the screws, the nails, whatever. And he goes through, sets it off. He comes back, takes another thing out, goes in. And the other thing is, you're going to go through TSA, right? You're going to go through a metal detector. You're waiting in line. Why don't you empty your pockets while you're waiting in line? Why do you wait until you get up there to empty everything into a bin? Why don't you put it in your pocketbook or your carry-on before you get there? And then you just lift it up, put it on the belt, and you walk through. You got TSA pre, you moron. Just, when I go in, I'm ready to go. I just pick it, and the guy says to me, nothing in your pockets? No, I'm not a jackass. Thank you. Do we have a jackass? Yeah. I empty my pockets. So, and that's enough, horse. As far as this steel-toe boots, and you're on vacation. Where are you going to go? What are you putting a sink in? Speaking of that, I had a plumber yesterday. Ouch. So be careful. Be careful. What am I talking about? Be smart. Use your head. Think ahead. It's like when I'm watching a baseball game. Poor analogy. But you're watching a baseball game, and the second baseman, I'm not Jazz Chisholm, doesn't even remember he's playing baseball, and something happens and he hasn't thought ahead. You're going through TSA pre. Empty your pockets. Make sure you have just casual shoes on, not your work boots, not your boots for riding your Harley. What are you doing? I'm getting depressed now with that story. I really am. Let's keep it rolling today.
Guru,
Yeah.
I think you mentioned how low the Danube's water levels are the other day.
Yeah.
Here is a follow-up story. The scorching European heat wave has revealed a remarkable sight on the Danube River. Record low water levels in Serbia and Croatia have exposed shipwrecks that have been hidden for decades. One is a cargo ship that sank in 1937. Even more dramatic are several German World War II vessels that were deliberately scuttled in 1944 as Nazi forces retreated. Some still contain ammunition and are now creating hazards for modern river traffic. The drought isn't just uncovering history, it's disrupting today's economy. Barges are carrying only a fraction of their normal cargo because the river is so shallow, delaying fuel shipments and hurting tourism and fishing. Experts say prolonged heat, little rainfall, and climate change are combining to push parts of the Danube to some of the lowest levels ever recorded. Sometimes history really does rise to the surface.
All right, here's the deal. You know, if you listen to me, I get a little crazy when the media wants the narrative that they want. The words climate change in there, I drilled down. I had AI looking into it. They're in the past 100 years, this has happened, okay? It isn't about climate change, maybe a little, but it's just happens. It's cyclical. But it's bad. It's really bad. And for the people that are booked on river cruises right now, that's a problem. They can't go down the river, so they pull over and they put you in a bus, and you're suddenly on a bus tour of Europe, as opposed to and one of the advantages of the social media that I have now is that I'll be able to put actual pictures. You should see. It's stunning. Obviously, it was not that far below the waterline in the first place. These riverboats were sailing over Nazi ships that were sunk, not 20 fathoms under the sea, like 6 feet. And they're popping up all over the place. But it's really quite dramatic, as it says here in the podcast. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, you can go ahead and Google it, and you'll see some video and some coverage. If people are on riverboats right now, you're kidding me? This is like better than Viagra. They have pictures of a Nazi U-2 boat, whatever it is, stuck in the water. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for Americans. We go crazy for this. I mean, I'd like to say, what could be better than that? Probably nothing. They came home. How was the river? Well, it was not a river. It was a stream. But, boy, did we see some Nazi ships. No one's seen them before in Croatia. I don't even know where the river is, Croatia. There's always water when we go up there. So, anyway, that's today's story on that one. And I'm really, by the way, I'm well aware, if you're watching this later on social media, that I'm blocking our own logo. You can't believe how difficult this whole thing is to prepare.
And finally, Guru, to end your first video adventure on a happy note,
please,
here is some news from our friends at the Rat Blog. Passengers aboard the 180-guest river ship Anna Katharina got a terrifying wake-up call early Friday morning when the vessel slammed nearly head-on into a lock gate and quay wall on the Danube River near Vienna, Austria. The crash happened around 4 a.m. while most passengers were asleep. The ship's bow was crushed on impact, and 14 passengers suffered minor injuries. 6 were taken to a local hospital with back, chest, and neck pain, but were treated and released within hours. Emergency crews quickly boarded the ship to make sure no one had gone overboard and to inspect the hull. Fortunately, despite the extensive damage to the bow, the vessel remained watertight. The Anna Katharina, operated by Scylla AG for Germany's Phoenix Risen, carries up to 180 guests and 40 crew members. The public lounge at the front of the ship appears to have been largely empty at the time of the collision. Authorities are now questioning the ship's 49-year-old Polish captain.
Don't go there.
Investigators will determine whether the crash was caused by human error, a mechanical failure, or another factor. That investigation is expected to take several weeks.
You know what? I'm anxious to hear this investigation. You can try to think, how can this happen? Head on. I don't know whether, again, this is the Rat Blog. This is Cruise Hive. And they get half the story, but they're usually better stories than anyone else, because traveling, how it works is I go on all of the trades, travel and leisure, cruise industry news, maritime executive, sea trade, and I look for stories that they've covered, and then I take bits and pieces of that and build my own story. and I cover it and offer the commentary. So Rat Blog, they're really handy, but they only have half the story. There's no word yet on whether that ship was docking. How do you hit it head on? Now, it says a lock, but I saw the ship. You should see the front of the ship. The nose is gone. I mean, literally, like a head-on crash. Is it mechanical? Oh, now, I've been around over 30 years. I'm well aware of officers that fell asleep on the bridge. This is years ago. Asleep on the bridge because they've been out, whatever, and the ship was on its own with autopilot. It happens sometimes. And now the captain was not awake at 4 a.m, unless he was awake and trying to dock it, and then maybe there's a mechanical issue where it wouldn't operate. But then no one was alerted prior to the crash, and the people that were injured, they fell out of bed. And immediately, probably people from the Northeast, oh, my neck, I can't, my arm, they were all treated and released, but they all have a record now. You have to have a record. You have to have something in writing that, don't email me about that. Make them Irish. I have a bit of a back here. I have a bit of a back injury there. Make whatever nationality you want. Bottom line is, we don't know what happened. And I love doing stories where we don't know what happened. And later on, we'll find out what happened. And that's why this podcast has some value. You know now not to go to Venezuela. And you know now at 4 a.m, if you're on the Phoenix Rising, stay awake because you don't know what's going to happen. And you notice I didn't make any mention about the captain. He's 49 years old. He was asleep, unless he was on the bridge. I mean, but he was asleep when this happened. So somebody on the bridge, something happened. The captain probably found out the same time as the rest of the guests when he fell out of bed. And he fell out of bed, and I don't know how you say, if he didn't say yakshimash or chinkoya when he fell out of bed. He must have had some other words to say. All right, we're getting out of here. This social media experiment is stressful. Not myself today. It'll be better tomorrow. I know people email me all the time. Why do you say it wasn't any good? It was good. I'm a perfectionist. Plus, I'm blocking my logo. The lighting isn't right. Already. Have a great Monday, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for the likes, the links, the shares. Thanks for everything, the support. Thanks for all of the new clients that we have. You are listening to the podcast. I appreciate that. And it's going to get bigger and stronger and better. I don't know where that came from. But anyway, have a great Monday. Wake up the duck. Where is the duck? There he is. Talk to you later. We're out of here.